There are many ways that you can implement events and parameters in Google Analytics for Firebase, but we do have some best practices that we'd recommend you follow. So let's go ahead and look at some of those now. So here we have a chart looking at a few different examples of types of apps, as well as the events and parameters you might want to use in these types of apps. So for example, a property booking app. Maybe you're booking hotel bookings through this app. You might have an event called property view, and parameters that you'd want to associate with this event are things like your property name, property rating, and property location, amongst other things that you'd want to collect. Another good example is for a publishing app. So here you might have an event called content view. So the user is viewing a piece of content in your app. Parameters that you'd want to use here include content title, content author ID, and content author name, as well as many others that you could potentially add here. For gaming, we actually have one suggested event that we would highly recommend you use. In this case, the event is the Spend Virtual Currency event. And some of the parameters that you'd want to track here are things like item name, virtual currency name, and value. And as you can see in the screenshot, because this is a suggested event, if you're using this event as prescribed, we're going to be able to provide reporting to you out of the box that is going to give you a lot of value from this event architecture.
If you're wondering how much work does it actually take to log these events, I'll show you what it's like right now. Just a few lines of code right here, and you're actually logging that Spend Virtual Currency event. The highlights in purple here show you that these are constants that are predefined in our SDK, and there's API documentation to help you understand which parameters go with which events. So with just those 4 lines of code, you've logged a Spend Virtual Currency event, and you get that valuable reporting right out of the box that Krista showed you. Then if you want to log a custom event, the code at the bottom of the screen will show you how to do that. This is for a bingo game, where it's logging an event called round completed with each round that you complete in bingo. Along with that event, you want to annotate what the score was of the user, how many bingos that they got in this game, and whether they won or lost that round. You log that event and it's uploaded to our servers and gets processed. And let's take a look at what sort of reporting you get out of the box for logging these events. So for logging that Spend Virtual Currency event, your reward is a report of how many times people spent virtual currency in your game, how many users were doing it, the count per user, and the value that you passed in. You also get to see in real time how much people are doing this in the last 30 minutes. You'll get information on the location that your users are doing this, and their demographics. But more than that, because you're passing the prescribed parameters along with the event, you'll get this first-class report here with a drop-down letting you select the currency type and showing you which items people are buying with that virtual currency. So the item column here will show you how often it's bought, how much value there was, and what the average price was, all just for supplying those parameters that we prescribed. Now you may ask, what do you get when you log a custom event? So you remember that I log the round completed event. If I head over to the Events tab, I can see a list of all the events logged by this app. And I'll look for my round completed. Now what I've done, even though this is a custom event and we don't really understand what it is, we let you give us a list of the parameters that you want to see reporting on, and you can tell us what the semantics are of those parameters, whether they're numbers or text. So here I've registered a number of different parameters that are logged with this event, and I can add more if I want. The result of that is that I can go to the event report and still get first-class reporting around this, because now I've given some instructions to Google Analytics. So you'll see below this top card, which tells me the frequency of the events, the number of users, etc., and the events happening in the last 30 minutes, some information related to the bingo or the rounds being completed in this bingo game. For example, what's the average number of bingos per round? What's the average number of cards used in this game per round completed? Or how many power-ups on average are being used? This is vital information to help you understand how users are using your app. And what's more, you don't need to look at it at just the high level. You can filter this like any report in the product by any of the user properties or audiences that you've selected. And so as you can see, whether you're logging suggested events or custom events, you can get a lot of value out of the product. But of course, we always prescribe those custom or suggested events so that you have to do as little work as possible and that we can give you first-class reporting when we understand their semantics.